Hi everyone. Hiya. Good morning, or whatever it might be for you. Um, okay. Well, yeah, there is no message, of course. So all that's being suggested, so to speak, is just simply that whatever appears to be happening is all there is. So there's nothing deeper, nothing magical or mystical or spiritual or whatever about what appears to be happening. So yeah, of course, all they're just words or whatever. Like everything, there is no meaning to them. They're not going anywhere or explaining anything. So what appears to be happening, a body, an apparent body sitting on a chair, listening on Zoom, is just everything, so to speak. It's just naturally whole and complete. Nothing being everything. And it's just perfect as it is, so to speak. So it's not on a path of becoming perfect or any perfection in the future or whatever. It's just naturally perfect as it is. But of course, this is a totally blind perfection. So what appears to be happening has absolutely no knowledge, experience, awareness, or understanding of itself. It doesn't even know itself. It doesn't know itself to be perfect or any of these things. It's just simply perfectly itself. And yeah, so like I say at the start, there is no message in that, of course. There is nothing to understand. And of course, really, there is no one who could understand, even if there was. So what's being suggested is totally energetic. And all there is boundless energy. But what seems to be reported, one could say, is there seems to um, be claimed to be this sense of I am. That I am in the body, I am the body. Um, this is me, this is my life. And of course, this doesn't seem to just be a thought or whatever. There seems to be this lived sense that this is me. And for me, this is unquestionable, so to speak. It just is. This is just me. I mean, it's non-negotiable. And the person, the so-called person, just can't see beyond its own borders, so to speak. So whenever it hears this so-called message or whatever apparent liberation, it can only ever conceive of itself in that. It just seems to be how it works, apparently, for me. Me can only ever see me. But of course, the suggestion is that there just is no one already. So not only do these borders of me not even exist, there is not even a me that is trapped, and there is, of course, no me that will become liberated. This is just impossible. There is not really, of course, such a thing as liberation in terms of a bondage and then a liberation. There's just liberation, one could say, for no one. Yeah, already. It's just already this. And energetically, one could say there can just seem to be a resonance, and this whole so-called setup of the person can just seem to just totally collapse and just die, just like that. And the funny thing in many ways is this doesn't ever actually happen, because it's revealed, so to speak, that there just actually never was anyone in the first place who could die or did die or whatever. There just was always this for no one. Okay, yeah, so I think that's probably a good start for the Saturday. Yeah, I mean, yeah, there is no right or wrong, of course, so everything is welcome. And yeah, let's just see where it goes today. You can unmute yourself or write in the chat, whatever you feel best.
No, don't know what's going on. Can't speak. Can't unmute myself.
Right.
Hiya, can you hear me?
I can, yeah.
I've just couldn't hold out any longer. Oh God, there's always a sticking point where you say this can seem to totally collapse this sense of me, which can only see itself, and yet it never happens. So just as a sticking point that seems to come up again and again. But you know, I don't know. It seems to be happening in life that I'm trying to sort something out, and then you kind of find you can't because it's all too much, and you're just left in this place where you just don't know. But that seemed to keep coming up that you want to know, I think. But the thing about it seems that can totally collapse seems to create an expectation, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, the so-called person just can only conceive of this so-called collapse that doesn't actually happen as another happening. It just that just seems to be how the setup works. Me can only, I mean, the so-called person feels life or whatever, or feels itself to be this happening. And so it starts from that this Zoom call is happening, and that I am really sat here and this Zoom call is really happening, or whatever it tells itself. There's a sense that
Well,
this is happening, it seems, for me.
yeah,
And
or else tell itself the opposite.
well, yeah, of course. Yeah, exactly. But I mean, all these stories, whatever, they're just energetically, it seems for the person, there just seems to feel really as if there's something or whatever. And so it can only ever conceive of a non-happening or whatever as another happening. And so, I mean, whatever, before really the person is seems to be this constant expectation of something going to happen. And before it came to this message or whatever, it would have been something else.
Well, that is something else too, as well as this message.
Oh,
Just
yeah, exactly. It may just
other
have multiple
things.
on the go.
Yeah, yeah. I'm
Yeah,
still
of
waiting for the
course.
house to fall down, and
Oh,
trying to
gosh.
all that. But that's just got worse and worse, and I just don't know anymore. I mean, I'm not getting on with the man who's in charge of it. He's like, so it's all gone. It's hard. I don't know. So as that, you just seem to jump from that to or things in life.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, me would just seem to just jump from things looking for solutions or liberations or releases or whatever. And yeah, I mean, energetically, this just seems to be to emerge, one could say, from the sense that this is not it. That this, me and you, so to speak, chatting on Zoom is not it. Energetically, there just seems to be an agitation that there is something else, that this collapse has to happen for it to be complete or for it to be it or whatever. When really one could say this apparent collapse is just the total death of that whole setup, that there could be a collapse. That whole thing just dies.
But that's the collapse.
Oh, well, yeah, of course, but only apparently, because actually, of course, there just is no collapse. So seen from the person, this is just the death of everything, but in that it's just seen that there never was a person to die. There was just always everything.
I don't know what I'm trying to get at.
Well,
You know,
exactly. I mean,
would I still got to sort these other things out in life, or I could not? I think to myself, okay, you can't cope with it, don't bother, just leave it. But that doesn't seem to go away. I'm still in the system, this need to think you got to deal with it all, which I mean, so
oh, I seem to have gone off on mute, Moira. Ah.
Can you hear me?
Oh, you're back. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm back. Somebody rung me up, but he's rung at an awkward time. I told him I'll get back to him, so that's all right. It's my son. What was I saying? I don't even know what I'm saying. I mean,
Yeah,
this
I
is the
mean,
same.
so-called things just seem to come up, or whatever, or emotions, situations, dealing with the house, I don't know, whatever, taking the kids to school, going on a walk, whatever, just seem to just be what apparently happens. So of course, I mean, this isn't suggesting anything in that sense. That all, I mean, really, what me would be hoping would be that all the problems and stresses would go. So all these
Yeah,
things I have to deal with
that's
would
because of
go.
that. Because yeah, I feel I've got to deal with them all, and that's just such a load to be carting around. Or this idea that you can just, I mean, it happens all the time. The idea I can just sort it out, or I don't even know why I'm trying to do it because I know I can't, and yet I still can't stop trying to do it because it seemed to be all part of the same thing. Um, I paint pictures and they just morph and go round forever, and it's like, what am I trying to find?
Yeah, exactly. It can just, one could say, I mean, I was like this too in this sense. They're just, well, really, every so-called person, this is how the system seems to work, apparently. But there can just seem to be a lot of neuroses, and then it can seem very clear that, like you say, they're just not going anywhere. They just loop round on themselves, and there's
Yeah, but they
just,
didn't stop.
well, yeah,
Well, they
exactly. And
didn't.
they may never stop in that sense. They may just carry on. But what's being suggested is that they're just already not
But not
happy.
long, you know.
No.
Oh, sorry, I can't see. Oh, this has gone mad. What was I saying? He's done it again. I can't remember. Can you remember what I was saying? No.
I'm afraid not really, no. Um,
So
uh,
yeah, I think it was something about the collapse seems like it's got to happen to yeah, I suppose to stop all this other stuff.
well, yeah, that I mean, that would be what the person would be hoping in that sense. The person would be hoping that all the other stuff would collapse. But really, ironically, it's this apparent collapse is the apparent collapse of the one that would even hope that. So then it just no longer matters if there's stuff to deal with or not, because there's just, I mean, there's just this whole thing that would care is just no longer there. And it's not replaced by anything. So it's not replaced by this new thing that, oh, there's no one, so I don't care. No, there just is no one. So
Yeah,
this
that's a different.
whole game of me know me is just not a thing.
Yeah, because the other thing is about control, isn't it? It's about feeling it can has got to control all this, and you know,
Yeah,
and if
I
it
mean, I
didn't,
guess, of course, for the person, so to speak, this sense of control, the hope one could say is that once I am in control, then whatever. I
well, you
mean,
can see it's impossible. I can see it's impossible because it's ridiculous, and it's never going to work, and it doesn't work, and yet you still seem to function that way. Um, so I don't know. I don't even know what I'm trying to say or where I'm going. I'm exhausted. But I don't know, I can't just sit there peacefully because I do for a little while, but then this energetic thing, I suppose, attracts you to things like a magnet. And you just,
yeah, one could say so. Just there's just seems to be for the person just a sense of itchiness.
yeah, I'll say. Yeah. And some. Uh, so yeah, you want that to stop, don't you?
Yeah, of course. That's, I mean, really, that's what the person is constantly looking for, longing for, one could say, is the end of this agitation. But also what it deeply fears. Because of course, really, there just is already no agitation. This so-called contraction just doesn't exist. So it's longing for that, but really, it seems when actually is confronted with that absence, it desperately avoids it. It doesn't want
Yeah, it
it.
doesn't want to give up control either, does it?
Yeah, exactly. It's just this closed loop that just seems to function on its own.
Just in a completely impossible situation.
Totally, yeah, totally
Yeah.
impossible.
Mm.
Lose-lose, because when this apparent collapse of this whole sense of agitation or whatever, there's just no one in that, of course, and there's no one in it anyway, but there's no, I mean, me would hope that it would then benefit from there being no agitation, but ironically this sense of agitation can just seem to totally explode, and then it's just seen there was never anyone.
See, that sounds quite dramatic. Totally explode, you know. It's like
Yeah, of
what?
course it does, but
It's like an
it just
event.
it's the most, I mean, non-dramatic explosion, if you like, because it just doesn't even happen.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's just the way you've image is you think when you say words that create, you know,
I
some
mean,
sort
yeah, as we said at the start, me can only ever conceive of a happening. So we'll hear any of these things and latch onto them, or
of.
an explosion has to happen. I mean, one could say what's being suggested is that, yeah, as I say, this never happens. It's
It's
already
like
been.
my dream, isn't it? Where the house apparently collapsed, and I woke up in the night walking around, putting lights on, and going out and thinking, why aren't all the neighbours out in the street? And nothing had happened. But
Yeah,
you know, I don't know. That was a dream, and I don't know what that was about, but you know,
well,
I
yeah,
don't
I
know.
mean, this is the surprise in many ways. This apparent collapse just never happened.
Mm.
So yeah, it's a surprise, one could say, because yeah, I too, of course, was expecting something to happen.
Because that's all me now, isn't it?
Exactly. Me is this sense of expectation.
Yeah. Well, not expectation, and then it goes, oh well, don't expect,
Oh
and then it
yeah,
sits there in some kind of, I don't know, strange kind of place, really.
yeah, exactly. Just, well, then, I mean, this whole thing of trying to then be present or not expect, I mean, it then seems to try to go the other way. But yeah, this is just exactly the same thing.
Mm.
This trying or whatever.
Or
There is
not,
no trying. There is no one who's trying.
or not trying.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, right. I better get back and ring him back, I think.
Oh,
I've got to, I've got to do that. I suppose he's my son. I don't know. I'm rambling. Yeah, I don't know. I just sat there and nobody was talking, so I felt I couldn't hold out any longer.
oh, it's nice to see you, Moira.
All right. Okay, I'll ring
Yeah.
him and he'll come back, I expect.
All right. Bye.
Bye then. Bye.
Okay, in the chat. Hi Izzy, what is self-pity about? Um, I mean, well, really, one could just say that in terms of this sort of victim thing or whatever, just seems to be this whole game, part of this game that me plays, one could say. Poor me. And of course, I mean, one could just say this seems to come from this whole sense of special or whatever, or that this is me, this is my life, and that this really matters. And so when if things go my way, then it's great and I'm happy or whatever. And if things don't, then I'm sad. And oh, poor me. And look, I mean, look what they've done to me. Or really, one could say that this whole sort of thing, I mean, already, of course, assumes there is another, and there is even one to begin with. And that there could even be other things that then could affect me. So other people, other situations, whatever, relationships, careers. Yeah, of course, this seems to just all emerge out of this sense of two, one could say, apparently. And that what appears to be happening is happening to me, and has then an effect on how I feel and da da da. So this apparent Zoom call, if something is said that is nice, then great, good for me. If it triggers me, oh, now I don't want to be here or whatever. So just this whole loop of just getting what I want and avoiding what I don't want or whatever. And so, yeah, if I don't get what I want in that sense, then, oh, poor me. And then this whole story can seem to start of how they've treated me wrong, or my life is so crap, and da da da, and it all happens to me. Why me? Yeah, I mean, yeah, of course, this is fine, of course, in terms of just there's a body just talking about this or whatever, but there just is no one, of course, playing the victim or the hero. So of course me would feel like the victim and then hope it can become the hero or whatever. And hope that if I die or if there's an explosion or whatever, then I will be the hero. I will have conquered it and finally I will have finished or whatever. And I can say I was the one that died before I died or whatever. Yeah, I mean, yeah, of course, I too had all these romantic hopes. But yeah, I mean, energetically, it just can become very clear that this is, well, that just nothing, there just is nothing, and that already there is no one. And that when confronted with this absence, so to speak, all these romantic hopes can for some reason just quickly disappear. Because of course, energetically, this is death, so to speak, seen from the person. So then all this stuff of, oh, wouldn't it be great? I could write a book, I could, I mean, yeah, this just totally collapses because, as I say, energetically, this is death. And so, yeah, I mean, when this was revealed, one could say, then this wasn't so fun. That I wasn't going to be there to be at the book launch or what. Well, one, I won't write it then. Oh yeah, so yeah. There just is no one, as I say, to be the hero. I mean, me is constantly feeling this victim to life or trying to beat life in just this so-called loop, trying to stay on top or feeling, oh, so pressed down by the circumstances. But yeah, there just is already no one in that loop. There's just what appears to be happening. And it's impossible for it to make someone happy or make someone sad. There's just boundlessly what appears to be happening, and it's just naturally itself, including apparent happiness. The body just seems to have emotions, happiness, sadness, but just not to anyone. And so it, of course, no longer matters which is which. But yeah, I mean, even when there was this confrontation, one could say, of death, and there's still, oh, poor me. Yeah, whatever, until this just totally collapses. Okay, do you think hope causes pain for the person? Well, one could say this sense of hope is the sense of the person. So there's no, I mean, there just is no person. So one can't say anything about this. Oh yes, hope causes this for the person, or the person feels like this because of fear, or whatever. No, I mean, there just is no person that feels anything. There is no person that anything is caused to or affected by or whatever. There just is no person. As I say, this sense of hope is the sense of the person, apparently. And this whole thing can just totally collapse. So hope is pain for no one. Well, I mean, one could just say that just is hope for no one, or whatever, or pain for no one. But one could say, yeah, that this for me, this hope seems to be painful, because this seems to be this whole energetic sense that this is not it, and the hope that it will be around the next corner, whatever it is. So for me, hope does seem to be painful. Although, of course, it seems to be mixed, one could say, simultaneously great and hopeful, but also actually painful. And in the end, I mean, for me, the hope became the biggest pain. And so then there was just this hope to be hopeless, but then it was just seen that this was still hope. So it was just totally hopeless without an opposite, ultimate hopelessness, which is this, naturally. Disappointment. Yeah, one could say that, yeah, of course, that me seems to work in this loop of hope and then disappointment or fear or whatever. Hope that my wishes will be granted, and then disappointment when they aren't, or if they aren't, which they will never be. These so-called wishes will never be granted. This person just will die unfulfilled.
Oh.
Hi, Moira.
Shut up. Can you hear me? Am I unmuted?
Oh, yeah. I didn't know if you were meant to be or not.
Oh, he just wanted to talk to me when he won, and now he's gone again. I'm
Oh,
supposed to just do what people want when they say. Anyway, I'm back, but I don't know if I got anything to say. If you were talking to someone else or what?
well, I mean, yeah, there was just a talk about hope or whatever, and yeah, I mean, as I was saying with this whole thing of hope in terms of really one could say that hope is this personal thing, it seems, for the person. So really, with this so-called collapse energetically, they're just this whole kind of importance of hope or whatever just totally collapses. So really there, as I say, is just no hope in that sense, ultimate hopelessness.
That seems quite a scary place, I suppose, for the person, doesn't it?
Yeah, of course, because the person is this sense of hope. So really, when what is being suggested is that this is the ultimate hopelessness already, then also this is the same as suggesting that there is already no person.
Sorry, I read the message someone put up and went off.
I think Saturday's Zoom link is not working, or maybe it was my phone. Oh.
I mean, I do encounter the hopelessness, but I don't know. Do you? What am I going to say? I'm going to say. So, do you have to stay in the hopelessness, and then the collapse will happen? But I mean, that's
No, of
just
course not.
projecting, isn't it? I'm projecting all the while, isn't it?
Yeah, of course not. I mean, what being suggested is this ultimate hopelessness is not some teaching or method or path. I mean, yeah, of course, the person would turn it into this. Okay, so if I'm totally hopeless, if I renounce all hope, then maybe this will happen. But no, the suggestion is that
The hopelessness. I mean, I actually encounter it, not think it. I actually come up against it.
yeah, me too. In that sense, I did too.
Right.
And then there was
But you just have to keep coming up against it. I do keep coming up against it, because every time you go off into some hope thing, then you get to the place where this is hopeless again.
Yeah, I
So
mean, but really, the person can never come up against this hopelessness in that sense. I mean, the person may just feel, it may feel like this for the person, and it certainly did for me when I was alive, in that sense that oh, this is the ultimate hopelessness. But then in that, they're just, the person can't help but have hope, even if
yeah,
it's
yeah,
calling it hopelessness, because it
that's
hopes
definitely what's
in the
happening.
hopelessness that something will happen.
Phew.
Which was just, I mean, for me, there was a lot of pain with this, because it was just very clear that this was inescapable in that sense. But it, of course, still felt like it was me that couldn't escape it. That even however strong or whatever this depression or hopelessness or whatever felt like for me, there just was always this opposite of hope in that. Always for the person. Just seems to be how that system works. Until, of course, then there just seemed to be this, yeah, as I say, whatever, that didn't happen. And it was just obvious in that sense that there never is anyone, there never was anyone stuck in that loop trying to escape.
It's weird. It's like a little I don't know what it's like. It's like a little type thing that's created that is seems very real. Yeah, I'm just trying to analyze that and stuff. I give up. I give up, all right. I'm tired and I give up. But anyhow, that's me again, isn't it? Gone. Oh, so hopeless, isn't it? Should I
Again?
unmute myself? Don't know how to do it.
Oh, okay, I can mute you. That's fine.
All right.
Thanks, Maura.
Okay.
Oh, okay. The link wasn't working for me either. It showed another meeting was in progress, had to input the meeting number and password. Ah, okay. Well, thanks, guys. I mean, my technical Zoom skills aren't top tier, I'm afraid. So yeah, I mean, whatever. You're in, so you can be the exclusive group that has made it somehow. No problem, just let you know. No, thanks, I appreciate it, and I'll have a look for the next meeting. Isn't hopelessness the opposite of hope? Were you talking about hopelessness for someone or no one? Yeah, I mean, this is the thing, I in this way. So what is being suggested is that what appears to be happening is already the ultimate hopelessness. And this is a one-sided hopelessness in that sense, without even that one side. It's just naturally hopeless, which is unconditional love. So yeah, I mean, in terms of how this so-called person, this setup seems to work, then yeah, this loop of hopeless and hope seem to just function together, apparently. So yeah, I mean, I guess what we were saying was that the person, the so-called person, can seem to have a sense of hopelessness, but in that there's simultaneously a sense of hope. They just is in that they just function together, one could say, in this sort of personal way, so to speak. So yeah, one could say in terms of this loop, there seems to be a loop of hopelessness and hope. But really, yeah, I mean, this is already for no one, of course. But what appears to be happening is already the ultimate hopelessness, which is just natural and has no opposite, like I say. So yeah, I mean, that even can't be answered. Were you talking about hopelessness for someone or no one? Because of course there is no someone that could ever be spoken about. So there is no such thing as hopelessness or hope for someone. There is no such thing as anything for someone. There's just no one. And if there's a body saying there's hopelessness or there's hope or whatever, there's just a body saying that. It's already not happening to anyone. Okay, someone said, if you want to kill a person, you have to kill its hope. You said now the person is hope. He was right, but he did not know what he pointed to in the sense of this meeting. Well, yeah, in this sense that there is, like we say, there is no person that has hope because there is no person. This apparent sense of hope seems to be this sense to be me, this sense of expectation, this sense of longing or whatever seems to be the sense of the person and the sense of the hope. So yeah, I mean, there's this sense of hope with this apparent collapse. There's no then person that's left, of course, without hope or who's free of hoping or needing or longing. No, there's just no person left. And yeah, this just revealed, so to speak, that there just never was this person. Okay, in the chat. Would you say powerlessness and hopelessness are the same? Well, I mean, in this sense that they're just a neither, yeah, in that sense, yeah. I mean, whatever, yeah. Me feeling hopeless, powerless. I mean, yeah, whatever. And all these things seem to come up, one could say, in this whole sort of setup of me feeling like the victim, like I have no control, like I have no power, no hope. And yeah, in this sense, what is naturally powerless, naturally hopeless, naturally needless, all of these things. Yeah. So in that sense, yeah, of course. Yeah. And one just can't distinguish between anything. What appears to be happening is totally undivided, totally whole and totally complete already. And it's just naturally itself. And of course, yeah, the words don't matter in this sense. Totally energetic. So one could call it powerless, or powerlessness, or hopelessness, or unconditional love, or energy, or freedom, or whatever. I mean, yeah, there's just words, so to speak, of what appear to be happening. They're not describing anything. No hope, no God too, haha. Yeah, of course, yeah. Yeah, I mean, really, whatever, God or whatever, these projections on some sort of authority or something bigger or something else is just, yeah, this same thing. This same expectation or hope or whatever. And yeah, channeling this into some figure or projecting this onto some figure. Yeah, of course, yeah. Really, one could say the apparent hope with this seems to be that well, that I will be looked after, or that I can surrender myself to some higher power or higher deity or higher being or whatever. But yeah, I mean, they're just this thing just doesn't. There is no God, of course, in that sense. There is no authority, no higher figure, and this would already assume, of course, that there is me, so to speak. That there is me here that can then have another, whether that's another person or this imagined whatever deity. Yeah, there just is no either, no person, no God, whatever. Okay, but if the person feels they're being manipulated and are powerless, they fight back. Yeah, of course. Yeah, one could say so, yeah. Well, I mean, really, one could just say the person just feels in a constant fight with what appears to be happening. And that if I'm mistreated or whatever, then I need to sort this out or whatever. And yeah, of course, I mean, this just seems totally natural, one could say. The body just, I mean, whatever, there just seems to be no longer this drama around it, one could say. But yeah, of course, in this sense of if there may just be an argument or may just whatever, totally natural. And if whatever, that's not right, then okay, I'll go and do something about it or whatever. But there's just no one in this already. And this whole sense of this is happening to me and I've been wronged and how dare they do this to me? It's just totally not there. So of course, a lot of the sort of revenge behaviors or fixing behaviors or making sure everything is okay just seem to just relax or fade away. because it just doesn't matter in this sense anymore. But totally normal. Like if there was whatever, someone being mistreated or whatever, they'd just probably be speaking about it. I mean, just totally normal, or standing up for them or whatever. But they're just this whole energy behind this importance and this, as I say, this personal sense is of course just never there already. So really, when the person seems to feel this manipulation and powerlessness and fighting back, really it's fighting for itself, one could say, of course. For my life, for my opinions, my beliefs, whatever. So yeah, when this whole thing just totally dies, then that whole setup is just no longer there anymore in that sense.
Hi, Izzy.
Hello.
Hi. Yeah, you just said that it starts fights on revenge or to make it right or something. Isn't that where it goes wrong? In the sense that when there's nobody there, there's no such feeling as to make it right.
Well, yeah, I mean, of course, nothing ever goes wrong in this sense. This is just impossible. But one could just say that they're. I mean, everything is naturally right, one could say, or okay, so to speak. So, I mean, yeah, like you say, the person seems to be this constant effort to make things right or good and avoid wrong or bad or whatever. So yeah, one could just say this seems to be this sense of constant effort, because there seems to be this relationship with what appears to be happening, when actually, of course, there's just what appears to be happening. There's no relationship with it. There's just no one who could do that. It's impossible. So everything is just naturally okay, even the bad or the good, the bad, the ugly, whatever. So painful emotions are just totally boundlessly painful. There's no need to make them right. They're not wrong. There's just what appears to be happening. And of course, I mean, me would perhaps see this, of course, as they're no longer painful, but actually, in a funny way, they're more painful. One could just say there's no longer this artificial sense of filter. There's just boundless pain. But of course, it's not experienced as more or less painful in this sense. But this sense of having to control the pain to make things good is no longer there. So there's just pain, full on intensity, and not better or worse.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, really, what me would be hoping would be that this apparent liberation is the ultimate right, and things will finally all be right and perfect and good. But really, what the person seems to be hoping in that is that things will be right for me.
Yeah.
Of course, this just will never happen.
So the person that thinks he's conditioned in a certain way, or I think I have certain beliefs and conditioned in certain way, that cannot that can't be affected then, can it? Because there's already nobody there.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing is affected. In this apparent collapse, nothing happens. Nothing changes. So there's just a body with conditioning, and there just is a body with conditioning. I mean, as part of the sort of, just naturally, one could say, some of this conditioning just seems to fade away when there no longer seems to be this sense of there being a reinforcement. But actually, yeah, like you say, there just is a body with conditioning. Nothing changes.
Okay.
Which, I mean, one could just say is very disappointing for the person, of course. Because, of course, the person would be hoping that all this would go away. But really, that just is conditioning. It doesn't matter either way.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
Thank you. Okay, interaction with people becomes different with this apparent death. Less drama and energetic shift in the body while talking. I mean, one could just say that, I mean, this is impossible to answer. There's no one registering this, of course. So that could compare. Oh, I mean, the one that could compare is dead. Oh, there's less drama there's less energy in the body now while talking. How interesting. It wasn't like that before. I mean, no, this one that could make this comparison is just not there. There's no comparison. There's just always been what appears to be happening. So feelings in the body, thoughts, emotions, whatever. There's no before death, after death. No. I mean, of course, apparently, but not really. And not even actually, apparently. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, one could just say the body just seems to relax naturally. And this may just, some things may relax quite quickly, other things may just never relax. May the physical body may die, still being neurotic in that sense. There's just no one who cares anymore, or knows, or is monitoring that.
There was a one I in some Zoom meeting, somebody said about meditation, and I think it was Jim, and the answer was that, or you could say that all there is meditation. Is there anything you can say about that?
Yeah, I mean, one could say so in this sense that I mean, yeah, I don't tend to use this word because obviously there's a lot of crap that comes with. But yeah, one could just say what is a natural meditation, if you like. I mean, but I mean, yeah, this just of course doesn't mean anything. So yeah, I mean, in the sense that with meditation, of course, the person seems to always be trying to achieve something. At least
Yeah.
that's what, yeah, I mean, that's very what it was like for me. I mean, they're just, there is no distinction in that sense. So that one could just say what is just naturally itself in that way. So there's, I mean, of course, for the person, they would feel like there's in and out of meditation. So with this whole sort of game of awareness, okay, I'll sit down and close my eyes or whatever and observe the thoughts or whatever. But yeah, of course, this is already naturally impossible. There is not this observer, this witness or whatever. This is totally impossible. There's just thinking, just happens as apparent function of the body. It's impossible for that to be made aware of or whatever. Just thinking just naturally happens. So yeah, I mean, there's just no then distinction, of course, because there's no in or out or observing or not observing, being awareness or being lost in the story. I mean, no, this whole thing just totally collapses. So what is just naturally itself, which if you wanted to say is meditation, then go for it.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, meditation or no meditation, same thing.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, exactly. There's no such thing as meditation.
Yeah.
Just know. Or all there is meditation. But you could just say any word. I mean, there's no such thing as love, or all there is love. So yeah, it's totally energetic.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. Okay, yeah, we've had an hour or so, yeah, I mean, this is wholeness. So what appears to be happening, an apparent body sitting on Zoom, is just naturally whole and complete. So it's impossible for it to become more whole and complete. It's impossible for it to be less whole and complete. It's naturally itself, naturally whole and naturally perfect for no one. Already. Can't become no one, fall away to be no one. No, there's already no one. Yeah. Okay, so upcoming meetings. Next week will probably be the same. Wednesday, 6 p.m. British Summer Time. So I'll try and have a look at the link and work something out. And yeah, obviously there's still some spaces for Brighton, which is coming up shortly now at the end of this month. So yeah, if you'd like to come, you can email me. So that's the next sort of in-person one, and I'm not sure about after that. So yeah, we'll see. And yeah, I've also started a Patreon community. So yeah, that's just kind of starting, but I'll be posting some things on there, maybe some live streams, and writing, like maybe longer pieces of writing or shorter. So that will just be like exclusive, if you like, to those in the community. So things won't be posted elsewhere. Yeah, I think that's probably it in terms of an update. But yeah, thank you very much for coming, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your weekend, whatever you get up to. And yeah,
Yeah, thank you.
thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Izzy.
Izzy.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.